Terminator 2, a cult classic and a true milestone in the history of cinema, packed with amazing visual and special effects. Wait, I think I already did that intro, and it didn't end well. But this time, I actually do wanna make a Terminator 2 video. Hello, my name is Grzegorz, and welcome to Homemade Specials, where I'm trying to recreate classic practical special effects using regular household materials. And today we're gonna start with a little history lesson, or more of a historical speculation, because I don't even know if this story is true, but I've read somewhere that James Cameron was planning to make a liquid metal Terminator, basically what we know as T-1000, already in the first Terminator movie. How? In 1984? Without CGI? How is that even possible, you ask? And the answer is stop motion animation, or claymation to be more specific, which is basically stop motion animation made with clay. Sadly, after the initial tests, the idea was dropped. I guess they found it too expensive or too difficult, and it was resurrected 7 years later for the second film. But when I first heard about it, I thought to myself, hold my beer please. So today I'm gonna try and recreate a T-1000 liquid metal Terminator unmelting using some toys, some plasticine, glitter, and the chrome spray paint. Now I really wanted to buy a police officer toy, but honestly I couldn't find any, at least within my price range. I don't know if it's just a local phenomenon or a worldwide trend, but I find it harder and harder to buy those cheap cops and soldier action figures. I mean, they were everywhere when I was a kid, and now all the toy shops have mostly Marvel superheroes and Paw Patrol. So I got those two guys. Alright, I bought two of them because I couldn't really decide which one I like better. Oh yeah, I like this one's head because we can see more details. This one has sunglasses and the goggles on his helmet. This one looks more like a human, but I don't really like his arms because they're really bent, and the curvature here will probably make it difficult to form a mold. So I think I'm gonna start by opening them up and replacing either their heads or their arms. I think I'll try to replace the arms and see what happens. Now I don't know if you remember this guy. He sacrificed his arms for my previous Terminator video, which was kind of a failure, but I still recommend you watch it. And even though he has no arms, he can still be of service. I believe I'm gonna use his head and one of his legs for the close-ups, for details of my Terminator body. And why would I build two different sized minis? Well, the explanation is the same as in the previous Terminator video. It's basically economics. I would need a lot more plasticine and a lot more glitter to build such a huge Terminator. I'm gonna need a lot less for such a small Terminator. So now I'm gonna take this two-part epoxy glue. I'm gonna cut a healthy piece. Now I don't know if you know this stuff, but this is basically two compounds that, when mixed together, start to harden and basically turns into a really hard, almost like a rock. So you gotta mix it properly so the colors blend completely. Yeah, I think it looks alright. Has a solid gray color. And now I'm gonna use that to cover all the joints. Basically, I want my guy to look a little more like a human than like a toy. And the back suggests that his coat or his jacket is longer, overlaps the belt. So yeah, I'm gonna follow with that and cover front of his body with this stuff. I just have to be quick because it hardens rather quickly. So I think now we have to wait for it to dry, but I have a lot of excess glue. Oh, it's already hardening. So I'm gonna use it to cover this leg. No, not this leg, I want this leg. To cover this leg. We're gonna get back to it later to finish the details properly, but now I just don't want to waste the stuff. And I was supposed to cover this leg anyway. As you've probably noticed, the little guy has a helmet and the big guy doesn't. And also their boots are completely different. So I was looking for something that would work as a helmet, and I couldn't find anything proper size. This tiny ball is the closest thing I found, and it's still a little bit too big. So I thought I could try and use it as a mold and form a helmet out of the same epoxy I used on a little guy's body. And I'm going to use the same material to fix the boot. But first I have to sand it down properly because this folded sock over here, it just doesn't work for me. And I'm gonna cover the inside of my helmet mold with some regular edible oil so that the glue doesn't stick to it. Yeah, I feel like this time I mixed too little of it, but no, maybe not. Yeah. Now I just need to take this little knife and cut off all the excess glue from his face and forehead. Let's form the shoe, the boot. Yeah, so now I'm gonna try and roll it into a really thin stripe and form a tiny rim right here at the edge of the helmet. I hope you can see what I'm doing, but I'm really not good at filming myself at such a small scale, but yeah, I think it looks pretty fine. I'm cleaning up all the little details, sanding down all uneven and dirty surfaces, and I think the little guy is almost ready to form a mold. So this is a clay, a sculpting clay. I actually wanted to buy a regular clay, but then I found this air drying or self-hardening clay, and the internet says it's just as good as regular clay, except it doesn't require baking. So I thought, why not? I could give it a try. I've never worked with air drying self-hardening clay before, so I hope it's gonna work out fine. But before I imprint my guy in this clay, I'd like to cover him with a thin layer of oil. This is regular edible oil, and it's supposed to stop this tiny figure from sticking to the clay. I just hope it will be easier to release him from the mold. So now it's just a matter of pushing him into this clay and making sure that it will get everywhere I need it to be. I believe that this self-hardening clay is much more, I don't know how to say it, rubbery, less flexible and more, how do you say it, you know, like a spring, like it's bouncing back to previous position. I'm not sure I'm liking it. Maybe I need a little water. Is it getting more like clay when it's wet? I don't know, I'm not so sure about it. I think it's starting to look promising. Maybe it will work after all. Or maybe I will have to buy regular clay and bake the mold. I don't know. We'll see. It was supposed to dry in 24 hours. It's been 48 hours now, and I'm not sure if it's completely dried yet. I mean, it doesn't seem so. But honestly, I'm getting impatient. I gotta pull this guy out and see what happened there. I don't expect him to come out without a fight. But let's start by maybe, removing the excess clay on the edges of the mold. Okay, let's try pulling him like a tooth. Oh, something moved. Okay, he's out. And the mold, bit damaged, but I think still usable. There are some cracks over here, and I'm worried about the one on the face, but I believe I'll be able to smooth that out later on. So I guess if that worked, or at least seems to be working, I think I'm gonna try and repeat the process on a big guy and a leg. So I guess it's time to prepare the plasticine. Now what I mean when I say prepare, you see, I bought this stuff online, and I like to buy my materials in regular stationery stores because I like to look and touch the materials I'm gonna work with. And this stuff was supposed to be silver or metallic. Yeah, here it says srebrna, which is silver in Polish. There you go, free Polish lesson for you. So imagine my disappointment as it arrived. I unpacked it and it turned out to be basically grey with some how do you call this stuff? Glitter. Yeah. It turned out to be simply grey with some glitter mixed in it. Definitely not what I was hoping for. So I'm gonna try to make it more silver. And I'm gonna start by mixing tons of glitter into it. Let's see if it works. I have no idea how much glitter will be proper amount, because I'm guessing at some point it will ruin the plasticine and make it, well, non-plastic. It will start getting brittle at some point. So I guess I'm gonna keep mixing and mixing until I start feeling that it's not acting properly. Yeah. It's kind of like baking a cake. You know what? I'm not gonna record the whole process because it's gonna take forever and it may kill me. So I'll be back once the glitter is properly mixed with the plasticine. I believe I owe you an explanation, because as usual at some point I got lost in it. I mean, the air drying clay was cracking like crazy. Oh no. I have tons of those broken molds. So then I switched to a regular clay, the one that you bake in the oven, but I don't know what I did wrong. That one was also cracking all the time. So finally I tried this children modeling clay, which is, I don't even know what it is. It's more like synthetic. It says here it's PVC plasticized material. So I don't know, but I think it finally worked, and I think I have a first version of the leg. I'm of course gonna have to clear out those details, but that shouldn't be difficult. And it looks quite alright, I'd say. Yeah, not bad at all. And for the other two molds, I decided to simplify the thing and give up on the back side, basically the second mold. And I think I got it. I mean, this is still the air drying clay, and the guy doesn't look perfect, but I think he looks good enough for my purpose. And now for this guy, I also gave up on the back mold. It was just too much hassle taking him out, and now I think I finally find a way to get him out of that without breaking him. And also, as you can see, I've missed few steps. I didn't record everything because I was just experimenting like crazy, but it just required a lot of sanding and a lot of painting and a lot of trying, and I think I should have started with this material. If you ever try to do something like this yourself, I believe the children clay is the way to go. Now let's try and get this guy out. Oh, he has barely any facial details. Maybe I should try and squeeze the head a little more. Just push it right there, because I think this is the most important part, the face. It has to look at least half semi-human. Well, let's try again. Well, yeah, there are some details. Yeah, let's try and use the scissors to free him from this excess clay. Yes. And now the difficult process of removing all the excess clay. And now, to make my guys even more metallic, I'm gonna spray them with chrome, including this guy, because I am hoping to use him to transition to a real person, me basically. And since I optimistically believe that I'm not gonna be making any more molds, I think I can finally paint those guys, give them somewhat realistic colors, because I'm also hoping to use them to transition into a real person, like non-metallic person. I don't know if I'm making myself clearly, but you'll see what I mean. If it works, you'll see. And I'm really hoping to show very little of them. So as you can see, the paint job is very, I would say, quick. Yeah, that's the right term. I'm not putting too much effort into it, because in the end we'll barely see it anyway. Okay, so this is my setup here. I got a frying pan with oil, because when I was heating it directly over a flame, the plasticine was just boiling, and when I put some water underneath it, it was steaming as hell and melting really slowly. So the oil is there to control the temperature, and then the guy hangs on the two fishing lines. I don't know if you can see them because I painted them black with matte black paint, and that goes over here. And I don't know if you remember the crank from the previous Terminator video, but I decided to use it as well. So it's connected to this crank, which will allow me to lower the guy slowly as he melts, because without that he will simply fall. And I don't know if you can see the background here, but if you remember the structure from the previous Terminator video, I decided to take it apart and use it over here as well, simply to make the frame a bit more interesting, and because they're made of plaster and metal, so they're fireproof, so I can put them here when it's gonna be hot. I couldn't use any plastic parts, of course. Now let's hope it works. Now that turned out funnier than I expected. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm quite happy with it. Surely it's better than the previous Terminator video. But yeah, it does look kind of ridiculous. You agree? I mean, the close-up shots when the big guy comes out look actually pretty cool in my opinion. But the wider shot, I think the guy lacks detail. It would be probably better to make that effect on a larger scale from the very beginning. But you know me, I'm cheap. Important thing is that the molds are still intact, so I could do it over and over again. I mean, it took a couple of attempts. That's why I used the molds. I didn't want to sculpt. Apart from the fact that I cannot sculpt, I didn't want to sculpt the guy for every attempt. That's why the molds, so I could, let's say, mass produce those guys. And yeah, after a fourth try, I think I got a few usable shots. I hope you like them. The wires are still a bit visible, but much less than in the previous video. I consider it progress. Yeah. Now for the very first shots, I used solder, and I believe that turned out really well. So what else can I say? If you like watching me making fool of myself as I try to figure out things like how clay works, please subscribe to the channel. Of course, hit that like button as well, and of course, see you next time.